This is Support is Sexy, episode 271, and today we're talking about the stages of your brand story. Welcome to Support is Sexy. I'm your host, Elayne Fluker, entrepreneur, author, and founder of Chic Rebellion Media. 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, I interview inspiring women entrepreneurs who share their wins and their lessons to help you take your business and your life to the next level and create something sexy. Here we go. Hi everyone, welcome to a new episode of Support is Sexy. I'm thrilled to have you here. It just would not be the same without you. And today we're continuing our series on creating an unforgettable brand story for yourself. That's what we're talking about all week, and this is episode 2 in that series this week. And today I wanted to talk to you about different stages of your business or different stages of growing your brand where you'll need the brand story. So you might be trying to figure out what stage you're in. This is going to talk to you about the different stages where your brand story will be effective for you. So the first stage is you're just getting started. So if you're just getting started with your new business or you're building your new brand and you want to be able to communicate your story with passion and ease to your audience and clients, then creating an unforgettable brand story is for you. In the early stages, you're figuring it out. You're trying to come up with your vision, what you want to communicate to the world in a compelling way, as we said before. And again, with passion and ease, something that you're excited about. You can't wait to tell people about what you're up to, and you feel confident doing it. If you're in those stages, then a brand story is something that you need to consider. Also, a brand story works for you if you're reinventing. So say you already have a business or a brand, but you're ready for a reinvention and you want to shift the narrative around your work and move things in another direction for people. Because again, this is all about you communicating with your customer, your audience, your listener, your client, your coworkers. All of these people are your customer for our conversation, right? So if you want to communicate with them that you're going in another direction, that something else is more important to you at this stage, and that always can change, right? But that this is important to you at this stage and you want to reinvent whatever you're presenting, a brand story can help you do that. And this is something that I did with creating Support is Sexy. I will say that I wasn't as thoughtful about it as I am now as far as the brand story component of it. But I had an entire other business, chicrebellion.tv, an internet TV network producing content, videos for women of color, especially to be able to share their stories. Now, I didn't completely shift my brand because I am still very passionate about creating spaces for women to share their stories. In fact, that is part of my brand story. I create spaces for women to share their stories, and that runs through everything that I do. My business that I have, working with clients and creating their brand stories, also creating space with Support is Sexy podcast, giving space to women entrepreneurs to share their stories, and then through other things that I'm developing, whether it's books, content for television, all about creating space for women to share their stories. But in 2015, I had a moment where I had to really think about, was the internet TV network the thing, right? We always come to a point, I mentioned this in a previous episode recently, where we have to decide if we want to pivot or persevere. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with that business, or you might come to the conclusion that this business is wrong and it's not working. But either way, you come to a point where you decide, because it's going to get difficult, right? No matter what you're doing, there's going to be times when things get difficult and you have to assess, do I pivot or do I persevere? And at that time, I took a break during the holidays in 2015, and I decided it's time to pivot. And during that year, I had been using this personal mantra of Support is Sexy after going through the workshop that I mention all the time, Momentum, which was fantastic for me. And I had a shift personally around the idea of support. And I began to say, support is sexy, support is sexy, support is sexy to myself first, to remind myself to ask for and accept support. And then I began sharing it with other women that I knew in my life, or people that I worked with, or people that I interacted with who were other women entrepreneurs, to remind them support is sexy. And that's when it became evident to me in late 2015 this could be a thing. I really think this could be something. I think I need to pivot here. In order to do that, tying it back to our discussion about a brand story, I began to create a new brand story. It began with presenting Support is Sexy on social media, what the brand is all about, being very clear and focused that it was on women entrepreneurs, all around support, the idea of asking for, accepting support, this theme that having it all doesn't mean doing it all alone. All of that rolls into my brand story around Support is Sexy and what it's all about. So again, if you're going through a period where you're reinventing or you're shifting your narrative or part of your narrative in some way in another direction, you want to get clear on your new brand story. Another stage where you might need to think about your brand story. You're feeling stuck, and we all go through that at one point or another in our journey, right? If you've been in the journey long enough, you might be feeling stuck and you feel like you have a great brand and even a great message, but you just don't know if it's getting through and connecting with your audience. And that is something we talked about. You want to make sure you're connecting with your audience, your customer, your client, your coworker. You want them to know what your message is, what you're all about, who you're all about, what you're up to. So if you're feeling stuck, thinking about your brand story, going through that exercise, thinking about that process, even if it's something you don't literally share with someone else, getting clear on it for yourself can help you get unstuck. Again, to go back to that example I used of myself, in late 2015, when I first started thinking about it, it was because I felt stuck. I was trying to decide. I was at a crossroads, right? I was trying to decide, do I pivot or persevere? And thinking about what I wanted to present to the world, even if not conscious of the brand part of it, what I wanted to present to the world, what was the message that I wanted to get out, this idea about Support is Sexy, and then how would I do that? So a brand story, thinking through that process and thinking through that vision helped me get clear on that. And then it helped me to eventually connect with all of you fabulous ladies. It helped me to connect with my audience, people that I want to work with, people that I want to inspire, people that I want to support. It all comes together, right? But that is what a brand story can help you do as far as helping you get unstuck. And another stage for your brand story, say you are, this isn't just about entrepreneurs, even though a lot of us are, but if you're side hustling, and I suggest that you do if you have a full-time job, side hustle first. But if you're side hustling and you work within a company, but say you finally realize that it's important for you to build your personal brand outside of your 9 to 5. And if you're thinking that, you know what? You are right, because you absolutely need to have something else going on outside of your 9 to 5. This doesn't have to be a business. It just needs to be your own identity. That's what it is. You need to have your own identity outside of your job. It might be in some ways connected to your job, but who are you? Who are you? What are you up to? And what are you as an individual about? Because you have a story, you have something sexy going on independent of your job. So this way, if you change jobs or that job comes and goes, you still have your personal brand, your story. This is the thing, too, that potential recruiters, people who want to hire you, people who want to work with you, people who may potentially become clients outside of your job, this is what they're drawn to, not just your position or not just the company you work for, because you want to establish your personal brand through your brand story, making sure that you communicate who you are to the world, and those people can respond to that. If it works for them, fantastic. If not, either way, you still have your personal brand story. And the last stage is sort of circling back to what I mentioned before. If you're figuring it out, maybe you don't know what the story is yet. Maybe you don't know what your message is yet. Maybe you just know that you want to create something, you want to do something new, try something new, experience something new. So if you're figuring it out, going through an exercise of coming up with your brand story, coming up with your vision first, coming up with your vision, who you are, what you're up to. We're going to ask in our next episode some important questions to start you thinking about that, but maybe you're still figuring everything out. A brand story can help you do that, and the process of creating one can help you get clear about figuring out who you are, what you're up to, what you want to communicate, what sexy thing you're creating in the world. So next episode, we're going to go through some of those questions to spark interest. I'm not going to do the whole entire course that I'm creating around creating your unforgettable brand story because it's a lot of content, which is a great thing. So I'll tell you more about that later. But I do think there are some questions that can get you started thinking. And you know, I love writing, so I want you to have a pen and paper next time. You can write it down in your phone, of course, but I believe there's power in actually putting pen to paper. So if you can, on the next episode, if you're not driving or exercising or what have you, doing dishes, if you have pen and paper around, you want to have that available so you can write down some of these questions, come up with some of these answers, and go through the motions of creating your brand story, getting clear about your vision, what you're all about, and what you're up to, so you can share that with the world. All right, so we'll talk about that more in the next episode. And now before we go, though, I have to tell you all, I was doing some posting and moving some things around here, and I went to the iTunes page that has all of the podcast reviews, which I ask you all for. I'm so grateful for. As I always say, I love a 5-star review, but any feedback is appreciated. So that is on Apple Podcasts that I'm talking about specifically. But I went to the page and saw all of the wonderful feedback and reviews you all give, which I know other podcasters talk about it on air. I don't usually. And honestly, I haven't been to this page in a while. And it's not because I don't want to read what you all say. I'm actually now going to make a concerted effort to do it regularly so I can see what you all are saying. But going through it and just seeing how the podcast and the guests have impacted all of you, it's really, I am inspired. You all say you're inspired, but I am truly inspired. So I wanted to read just one of the reviews to you, and I'll read some others as we go on moving forward. So this way you can hear also a reflection of your own voices. Hopefully you're listening if you hear me read it, or just for some of you who are new or you've been listening for a while, it gives you a sense of what other people are experiencing from the podcast. So one listener, Melly Mel Gray, posted this. This podcast is a perpetual New York Times bestseller. Girl, from your mouth to God's ears. I listen to Elayne every day during my commute. I live in LA. Hey, girl. So whether I am walking or driving, it takes 15 to 45 minutes to get from point A to point B. Therefore, I escape into the sexy realm of support created by Elayne. It's fresh, inspiring, filled with fantastic stories of life, failure, perseverance, accomplishments, and moreover, gratitude. I laugh, sometimes I cry, but it is the aha moments that bring me back. Thank you for putting together such an eloquent space for me to retreat to. Big hug. Melly Mel Gray, big hug to you too. Thank you so much for your feedback. To all of you, thank you for your feedback. You can go to Apple Podcasts, leave a review, also on Stitcher, have some reviews over there. But again, I love hearing from you, and I'm going to begin to share more of these, not just for myself, it's not for my own ego, but again, so you can hear your voices and know that I appreciate you. So this is our review this week from Melly Mel Gray. Thank you so much. All right, so for all of you, you know I appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here. As I always say, it would not be the same without you. So until our next episode, you know what to do. Go out there and create something sexy, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.